What we're looking at in this video is the hardware required for a local area network. So to create a local area network, what do we need in hardware? And so if we first of all look at some computers, here are three standalone computers and they're not yet on a network, so they can't talk to each other. And so the first thing which we're going to need is a network interface card. And this is also known as a NIC. So each of these computers will have a network interface card which is inside them. And the second thing which we're going to need is some kind of network hub. So this here is a network hub. And so we have a network hub which has some ports, and we then connect up using a cable. We connect up from the hub to the network interface card for each of the computers. And that's really all the hardware that we need to make a very simple local area network. Now what happens in this network here, if I use an ordinary hub, if this computer wants to send a message, then it will send that message and the hub will then rebroadcast that message to every single computer, which is somewhat insecure because everybody actually gets that message. So a typical network hub is insecure because it will send those packets of information, the little bits of information will get sent to every computer. And the other problem is that if this message is getting sent out to every computer and at the same time another computer decides, well, I want to send a message, then this will disturb the message which has already been sent out and broadcast, and so what we get is something called a collision. And if a collision occurs, it's not a major problem, but what it means is that both the computers wait for a random period of time and then they send out the message again in the hope that they don't get another collision. So the more computers you start putting onto a hub, the slower the actual network gets, and it gets increasingly slower because of these collisions. So one thing which we use on top of that, instead of just an ordinary network hub, what we can in fact use in addition is we can use something known as a switched hub. And with a switched hub, it's almost the same principle. We connect up our computers to our NICs, network interface cards, and this time if a message gets sent out, then the switched hub can switch which direction it's going to. So it doesn't broadcast to every computer. It says, oh, this is for computer number 2, so I will send to computer number 2. And there's no collision now if this computer here, computer number 3, starts sending back, because that line is free for it to send back to, and it can then switch off to somewhere else. Now, sometimes we have situations where we don't want to have a wire connecting computers together, so we now have available things called wireless access points. And this is also known today as Wi-Fi. And so what a wireless access point will do is it will use microwaves, so they're radio waves which are in the microwave band. So it uses microwaves in order that the computers communicate with the wireless access point. So we have a wireless access point here, and using radio waves, that will be able to communicate with each of the computers. And each of the computers are going to need a wireless network interface. So it's not a NIC this time, it's not a network interface card, it's a wireless network interface. And so each of them will have a wireless network interface and some kind of antenna so that they can talk to the wireless point. Another thing which we also need beyond, when we're looking beyond a local area network, we can also make use of a router. So we have our wireless network, our local area network here. So this is set up a local area network, and here if we look, we've got LAN there, so that's for the local area network. So this computer will be computer 1 and computer 2 and computer 3. And then we want to use a router in order that we can then connect to another network, which typically will be the internet. And so a router connects networks together. And that's all the hardware that we need for local area networks, and then to connect our local area network into a wide area network.